Hello, I'm Rick Howell with Howell Properties here in Toledo, Ohio, and thank you for listening to That Real Estate Tech Guy.
I can tell you one thing. Technology is the single most important aspect of every business that has successfully scaled.
It's time for That Real Estate Tech Guy. It's your weekly chance to explore how technology can help your real estate business explode. Each week, you'll hear from real estate investors who have been there and done that and find out their favorite technology tips. Listen in as Jordan speaks with tech companies and learns about new technologies and new ideas that will help you scale your business. And now, join your host, Jordan Samuel Fleming, CEO of Smartphone, for this week's episode.
Hey everybody, it's Jordan Samuel Fleming here with another episode of That Real Estate Tech Guy, and I'm delighted to have Rick Howell as my co-pilot for today's episode. Rick, thank you for joining the podcast. Give a little introduction to yourself and what you do.
Thanks for that. I appreciate it. My name is Rick Howell. I'm our business. I'm a house flipper, a real estate rental guy, all the above, here in Toledo, Ohio. And we focus on mainly fix and flips and buy and holds.
Fix and buy and holds. And I think you also have some education elements to yourself as well, correct?
Yes. We do coach other real estate investors that are looking to systemize their rehabbing business or looking to take it to the next level.
Fantastic. I want to dive into that as well because that's always something, education is a really big part of, in general, what I'm trying to do with this podcast, make sure people understand the opportunities out there, understand how technology can help them, and people like yourselves who are also doing that and facilitating people to grow their businesses are perfect examples of that. So let's start off just, you said fix and flips and buy and holds. One of the things I'm going to ask you right out of the gate is whenever you start doing fix and flips, you've got a real sort of, compared to wholesaling, fix and flips is about money and tracking expenditure and making sure you've got your finances right.
Yes.
How do you approach that, and what are the sort of ways that you manage that to make sure you're making the most money out of a fix and flip?
Knowing your numbers. So that's a really good question. For the difference of the fix and flips for the wholesaling is a great way to get entry into real estate. Evolving into the fix and flips, we found we're able to do a lot less deals, make bigger spreads. The challenge was getting to understand the numbers and how all that piece worked and make sure we were buying right. So we have a very systematic process from the time we close on a deal on the front end to actually selling the property, which we call it our playbook. And it starts with a very detailed scope of work, both from the demo all the way to the actual scope of work of what's going to be reinstalled in the property. And we're able to dial down our numbers usually within 10% from estimate to selling the property. And the way that's worked over time is we're very boring. Every one of our rehabs is exactly the same. We use the same products, same contractors. Generally, every once in a while they have a shelf life, but we try to stay in the same realm of contractors for everything. We use the same suppliers. We have a very cookie cutter process, like an automobile going down an assembly line.
Fantastic. Yeah, and that's my sense has always been around the fix and wholesaling is a relatively simple process that involves a lot less risk.
Yes.
Fix and flip usually means a lot more potential reward, but if you don't get your numbers right and you don't control the process, a fix and flip can go wrong real easy, right? So
absolutely.
That's my sense of it as a guy who doesn't do it, who just does technology. But let me ask you particularly, one of the things that always struck me is that to get a fix and flip basically right, you've got to preload with a good understanding before you make an offer.
Yes.
So that's my sense. Is that true? And if so, how do you apply? Like, how does that kind of enter into your process?
So when we first meet with a seller, we have tools, and every one of our tools is what walks us through the process. The first tool would be the repair estimator. So when we come through, buying real estate, as you know, is totally emotionless. It's all about numbers. So when we first meet with the seller, first off, we find what their pain point is and see if we're a good fit to work together. Number one, if we can solve their problem. And if we can solve their problem, what's the exit we want to use? Which we like to focus on fix and flips. That's not the only exit we do, but that's the most profitable. But it all starts with a tool called the repair estimator. So we'll literally walk through a home and check boxes of what we need to do to renovate the home. After we get done checking all the boxes, we just simply add up the numbers, and if we're able to get the numbers to where it's in our buy box and we can make a profit on it, we'll move forward with it on a fix or flip. We also keep other exits in our back pocket just in case we can't move on it on a fix and flip. We can still help the seller get out of their situation with, I'm licensed as well. We could list the property. We have a team of auctioneers that we work with. We have other investors in our network that can get better numbers with us because we sub everything out. So it might be a better fit to wholesale the property to an investor that maybe does all the work themselves. So we just try to give as many options as possible.
And if I may, given that technology is my primary interest in all these things, when I've actually built repair estimators for fix and flippers before,
nice.
And one of the things, it occurred to me while I was building it, well, or I should say my team was building it because I can't build shit anymore.
Right.
But my team was building it, and I remember the granularity. There seems to be a balance that you need to strike between excessive granularity of an estimate and being too broad, right?
Yes.
Too broad, and you're probably not accounting for enough detail to give you the picture you need.
Yes.
Too granular, and you could be spending a stupid amount of time,
yep,
going through. Is that true, A? And B, how do you thread that dial? And is there a system you use in particular that does it?
That's 100%. That's 100% true. And yes, I would say when you're first getting started, is when we usually get caught up in the game of getting too caught in the weeds, like you said, granular. Over time, you're able to simply look into a bathroom and say, hey, this whole bathroom needs done, and I can put a number of $3,300 to do the whole bathroom, right? This all happens over time. So at the very beginning, it's all about your team and making sure you're partnered up with the right contractors that can give you the good numbers getting started. That's where I would start, because you can get caught up in the weeds of being too perfect. But I would say 4 or 5 flips in, you're going to be able to look into room by room by room basis and tell you within 10 to 15% exactly what you're going to be in for that room.
Absolutely. And in terms of and this is more, I just am curious, if you're looking at a fix and flip, because you not only have the repair costs, which are potentially tens of thousands of dollars,
yes,
quite a lot of money, but you've bought this property either using your own money or using a line of credit of some sort, or hard money, whatever it is, and until you sell it, you've got some element of holding costs. You got to service that property until it's sold is essentially a drain on your finances.
Yes.
So when if you are looking at a property like this, how important is the back end of ease of getting rid of it, of a buyer network that you understand, or the type of exit you think you can plan to your calculations?
Good question. So what we use another tool, since you mentioned that, it's called a deal analyzer. And what we use to analyze the deal plugs in every single number needed within your holding cost. And that could be your taxes, that could be your interest on your private money loan, that could be all of your your utilities as you're going through the process. And depending on what market we're in at that time, in this market in Toledo, Ohio, we're shifting into the winter. So we know our timelines to hold the property could be a little bit longer while we're going through the holidays and due to the winter times. Now, if we're down in our other market, down in the Tampa Bay region, that doesn't usually slow down at all. Maybe for the short period of time right around Christmas and New Year's, but other than that, it just keeps rolling through. So we usually give ourselves a timeline with our model that we flip is usually about 6 months max from acquisition to selling the property, because our flip itself is dialed into where it only takes 6 to 8 weeks to get the job done.
Interesting. And you've mentioned now 2 tools. Are these tools that are your proprietary one, or are you using tools? I mean, are you using tools that are off the shelf that are part of systems? Are the ones that you built? Just out of curiosity.
No, we invested in a tool called Rehab Valuator. That's been perfect for us. Yeah,
no, it's absolutely vital. Yeah, please do. It's like we talk. I mean, don't have to worry about mentioning brand names.
Got it.
Because at the end of the day, I bring on most of the technology. I'll now reach out to them and ask them if they want to come on. Because to me, it's all about getting this information to people. So tell me a little bit about why that particular product fits for you, and in terms of the different what stands out to you for that product for you.
Simplicity. I'm my background is construction prior to real estate, so tech was not my world. So I needed simplicity personally, and I also needed support. So a company or for all of our tech things that we use many different platforms for our business. It's always about support, to where when I run into a brick wall, which I always do, I can raise my hand to someone and say, "Hey, could you please walk me through this?" And then we can turn the page on that. So and plus with the Rehab Valuator, it allows you all the areas and the tools to plug in. Like you said, granular. It lets you get really granular. And once you build a template for a house, the template really doesn't change, just the property address may.
Sure. Now, so for a fix and flip operation like yourself, or primarily fix and flip, you've obviously, as you said, you've got a lot of sort of options that you can offer a potential seller.
Yep.
But you're still going to have an element of lead acquisition. You're going to be looking for deals. You're going to be looking to work those deals and find an exit for them. So,
yes.
In your, what sort of technology are you using? What systems do you have in place to make sure that your team can find the best leads? Whether you're spending on marketing or you're getting inbound leads and managing them. What do you guys use?
Our first platform is we have a dialer, which we use Call Tools as our dialer. We have a text platform. We use Lead Sherpa as our texting platform, and we use InvestorFuse as our main marketing CRM. So all of our different marketing strategies, whether it's direct mail with a specific phone number, or Call Tools or text, whatever it is, all funnels into InvestorFuse, and then InvestorFuse disperses it accordingly on where it needs to go.
Fantastic. And then once once you essentially have worked that lead, that's when you start getting into the deal analyzing and the repair estimating and all of that. You essentially come out of the lead element of InvestorFuse and move on into the process.
Yes. Once we have once the lead comes through the funnel, and we decide we're going to write an offer on the property. Once the offer is accepted and closed, it now comes out of the InvestorFuse platform and into the construction. Yep, we're into the construction. And actually, it's another good thing for our construction aspect and managing all of our projects. We use a platform called Basecamp.
Okay, sure. Okay, so that's really not a real estate specific platform, but that's a project management that's allowing you to manage all that.
Yep, we've built out a project management platform inside of Basecamp that just allows us to duplicate project after project after project. Just another template process.
Now you mentioned. Sorry.
No, you're good. That's okay. It's designed. It's designed to where the goal. We started this in 2009, 2010. And the goal has always been based off the E-Myth principles to be able to fire myself eventually. And because of all the tech stuff and all of the platforms that we've been able to use, every going through the process, I've been able to fire myself from something. Before it was me on the cell phone, then a dialer, and then doing all this stuff. But as we improve our systems and processes on the back end, it allows me to free up my time to do other things.
Absolutely, and it's interesting because you mentioned, right from at the very start, about this notion of sort of we're pretty boring. I think you said all
Yeah.
of our flips are the same, right?
Yep.
And I love that, because to me, what that says is there's a good system and a good process in place, because you found what worked, and you're gonna repeat it, and
Over and over.
you're gonna repeat it. You're gonna repeat it, and that means you can repeat it and you can scale it.
Yep.
So, is it Basecamp that is allowing you to essentially build out the process of, my understanding of the fix and flip process, and again, you can clarify if I'm correct, is, essentially when you're putting it under contract, you're looking at doing the estimate, so you know what to offer, what your expected, ultimate gain is going to be.
Yes.
Once you get it, you're essentially in a construction phase.
Yes.
Where you're gonna try and turn that damn property around as efficiently as possible. Yep. To the level that you need to be. And is that where Basecamp can really give you a template to work
Yes.
from?
We've built, the Basecamp allows you to build out what you want. So from the second we close on the property, the project manager then that first day goes out and initiates the playbook that's in Basecamp, which starts with a demo scope of work, right? And it just rolls right. It's literally a checklist for everything, all the way down to sticking the realtor sign in the front yard at the end of the deal. It's just keep repeating over and over and over again.
And having this more robust process and system in place, you mentioned you've been able to kind of fire yourself from bits of the process, but has it also meant or that you've been able to start to scale more because of it, or do you see that as a possibility more?
Yeah, we've got the opportunity to scale, especially with the way the world's going right now. The leads just keep growing and growing and growing and growing. We're a very small family-owned business. It's me, a project manager. I have a couple cold callers or a couple marketers, I should say. They do multiple things, and then my sister that handles all the books and all the behind the scenes, keeps us moving forward. So we have the ability to plug in more project managers if we choose. Right now, we're getting between, I think we're going to do maybe just under 30 deals this year, 30 low 30 deals this year. And we're happy with that. I mean, it's great income. It's freedom, and I don't have a whole boatload of employees to deal with. I know people talk about scaling as if, people keep preaching these big teams and all these sales and yada, 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 yada. And I'm maybe it's my age. I'm more about simplicity and how much revenue can you drive with as minimal responsibility of employees and their families as possible. And the systems allow that.
Rick, I mean, I think you've hit on something really important sometimes that isn't said enough, because everybody is always talking, and I'm guilty sometimes myself. Everyone's always talking about, like, almost as though if you're not scaling as big as you can, you're somehow not doing it right. And I remember in one of the first episodes of this podcast, I talked to Stephanie Betters, who's the CEO of Left Main REI. It's a CRM system based in Salesforce. And we talked about the fact that, there are going to be people who simply want to do one deal a month, and have almost like a side hustle. There are going to be people who want to build a certain level of business to have a certain lifestyle that they want. And then there are going to be people who want to scale. And all three of those stages are perfectly valid in themselves.
100%. Yep.
And I agree with, what you just said. Actually, it resonates very well to that, and not enough. There's too much focus sometimes on the idea that we always have to scale the biggest we can. But actually, if you're being able to use technology to scale efficiently to the level you want, it means you're maximizing profit at the level that you're most comfortable.
Yeah. Yep. You're generating as much revenue as with systematic as possible. I've always been taught. My first coaching mentor built their entire business off of the E-Myth principles. I was actually before I started doing the coaching myself, I traveled the country and coached and spoke with another company that started with one flip, and now they've got a pretty big Than Merrill, right? I worked hand in hand with Than. I learned from those guys for years, and I watched them build off of just stacking bricks on top of each other. But every team within that organization was based off the E-Myth principles of how can we improve this system to be able to fire ourselves from it and have it be able to run automatically. So that's kind of what we do, just on a much smaller scale.
Fantastic. And that segues nicely into, you mentioned the education element, the coaching element of your life as well. And one of the things that I've always been very, excited about when I work with coaches, when we have people in our, for instance, in my business, smartphones affiliates, we've got a lot of affiliates who are coaches. So yes. People like yourselves who are coaches mean that you're able to give the benefit of your experience, of course, on all sorts of parts, but in technology particular. So when you're coaching people, do you also kind of bring them through the technology that will help them, be able to deliver?
100%. So that's the first thing. The first thing we teach is number one, the only time I'll work with a student is if they have some sort of ability to marketing investment. A lot of people that get involved in real estate, they get involved and they invest all the capital they have and don't leave anything left for the marketing budget. And that's the only people I'll work with is if they have some sort of a expenditure to be able to invest in the things they need. So if they need direct mail campaigns, if you need a dialer, if you need, whatever platform works in your market, because every market's different. Some places text messaging gets nothing. Other places text messaging kills it. So like in our market here, direct mail does really well. Well, if you invest all your money in a coach, you have nothing to do with being able to drive leads, it's not going to work out too well. So it's kind of the fundamental base of how we build our coaching program is what kind of marketing budget do you have to be able to start driving leads to your business.
Excellent. And when you do have people in your coaching program, are you, are you trying to sort of drive them into not just in terms of a marketing spend and technology like around dialing or texting or whatever, but where you've got tools like InvestorFuse that you use,
yes.
or tools like your construction management or Basecamp, you're essentially trying to give them a playbook that they can run.
100%. We open up the doors to our entire business. So we go through InvestorFuse. We go through the cold calling platform, which is Call Tools. I highly recommend InvestorFuse. We've been with InvestorFuse since they were, I don't remember, it was like InvestorFuse 1 or 2 or something like that since they first got started. We don't deviate from that. And all I can teach people is exactly what we're doing, right? So and I'm very transparent about that when we sit down and see if we're a good fit to work together. Often I found that people are really good at painting visions and this and that and the other thing. I'm not really good at painting a vision, but I can share with you exactly what we're doing, how it works, how you can take a 3 or 4 man crew and make yourself $1 million business off using these systems and processes.
And that is that's a great summary right there. How you can make $1 million business off 3 or 4 people and some systems and processes, right? I mean, that's a dream come true right there.
That's all it is. And I feel like, when we first got started, I remember going to my first real estate seminar. Everybody goes to the seminar and they tell you to go to the back of the room and all that stuff. And I was that guy, 100%. Made the investment. Was a believer in what I saw. But then once I made the investment and got involved with the coaching, I realized, holy crap, I didn't know about all these other expenditures that were going to come. Right. So it's all about just stacking bricks. So when you first get started, I learned that you have to start with one thing, right? You're going to wear all the hats. You're going to wear all the hats while you get started, and eventually you're going to take one hat off and hang it up as you go through the process. But the most important thing is to understand what you want your business and your lifestyle to look like, and that's where we start.
Fantastic. Well, Rick, it's been really fascinating for me, particularly because I don't get enough fix and flip people So I don't get to hear about I don't get to learn more and more about that process. So this has been really fun to get more into that. Before I get you to tell people how they can find you, I'm going to hit you with the Real Estate Tech Guy Fast 5. These are 5 questions I ask all investors, same 5 questions. Pretty fast questions, pretty fast answers, please.
Beautiful.
So question number 1, what technology product has had the biggest impact on your real estate business?
Investor Fuse, 100%.
Investor Fuse. Fantastic. Question number 2, what is the biggest mistake you've made with technology in your business?
Trying to learn it from top to bottom myself without reaching out to the resources that were available.
Fantastic. Love that. Question number 3, what is your best advice on how to integrate technology into your business?
How to integrate technology into your business. How to integrate technology. First, find out what your pain point is that you need to eliminate. Okay, whatever process you're doing, that would be what we call a drainer. Find a way to outsource that and automate it with a platform.
That's a fantastic answer. That's one of the first times I've had that answer. I'm loving that. Question number 4, what's the one thing you wish you'd known about technology when you first started in real estate?
What's the one thing I wish I knew? I would say the mindset of done is better than perfect, because when you first get started, you get thrown 50 different things at you. You don't know which one to go with. I would say choose one, implement what you've learned, find out if it works best for you, and then move on.
I love it. Oh, I love it. Never let the the good be the enemy. Well, no, never let the perfect be the enemy of the good. 100%. And with technology, that happens all the time. Final question: if someone was just starting out, so brand new to real estate, you see them a lot as a coach, what are 3 technology products you would recommend they bring on first?
3 technology products they bring on first. I would say 100% Investor Fuse. Another rehab valuator. And if they're just getting started, a texting platform, Lead Sherpa. That's all I really know. That's what we use, is Lead Sherpa.
Fantastic. Rick, it's been a genuine pleasure to get to know you on today's podcast. As we close out, I'm going to let you tell everybody how they can find you, particularly, of course, both your real estate business and yourself as a coach.
I got it. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity, Jordan. And I can be found on Instagram at just my name, Rick Howell, REI, and as well as Facebook and TikTok on all 3 platforms.
Fantastic. So we'll make sure those links go into the episode page on our thatrealeestatetechguy.com website. Please do make sure, if you're listening to the podcast, that you like, share, give a review, do all the things you're supposed to do to spread the gospel, and make sure that you check Rick out on his social medias. Rick, thank you so much, and everyone, thanks for listening.
Thanks, Jordan. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to another amazing episode of That Real Estate Tech Guy. Head over to thatrealestatetechguy.com to check out all episodes and get special discounts on tons of awesome real estate technology platforms.